Hey everybody, it's me Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 Hz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant based diet going for yourselves today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and get with alkalinity. Then you can generate some static electricity. Sending me some love telepathically, set attention to your mind and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So this evening I'm going to go over non-existence. Okay, I'm going to get into how we don't exist, okay? Not just as a philosophy, but an experience, right? So let's get into this. Um, so here now in the present moment, we are in existence. We are existing. When things are in function, we are in existence, or we are existence, right? So when things are in momentum, when things are functioning, when things are working, fluctuating in a dynamicism, we are in existence, we are existing, right? We are alive and things are smoothly functioning. Um, we are in a fragmented consciousness, right? By this I mean that our awareness has become fragmented. Consciousness is not fragmented. It's more omnipresent, which is all present, or omniscient even as well, which is all knowledgeable. But there's cyclings to how it manifests itself, right? From one source to a fragmented manifestation. And this fragmented manifestation is the awareness of seeing another person or another simply, right? So there's a fragmentation, there's a division, right? Fragments is taking a whole of something and fragmentizing it into infinite little pieces, right? This is what consciousness, um, this is what happened. We were one, we were at whole, we were at one with source, or we work, or we are source, energy. The source is the whole, and it fragmented itself into infinite little parts, pieces, intricate pieces, parts, and that was the fragmentation. This is where it is. Um, but there's also that whole, that oneness. This is unity. This is source, the source of creation. God is consciousness, is spirit. Spirit is the oneness, right, of everything. So the fragmentation state of awareness, or fragmentation, is the fragmentation of that oneness, right? So if you take each little fragment of that oneness, you get a tiny piece of God, or you get a tiny piece of consciousness, right? Within that tiny piece, if you go into that tiny piece of awareness, you're going to find that that piece in itself is a whole. So the whole is fragmenting itself into little holes, right? If that makes any sense. Because the whole nature of the whole of source is that when it fragments, goes into fragmentation process, it breaks itself up into infinite pieces. Each of those parts or pieces is a fractalization of that one. So it's just an indivisible type of thing that takes place, right? So we can be in fragmentation consciousness and we can see another, um, maybe in a type of duality, but that in itself is oneness, right? And coming back into the unity consciousness, coming back into source or oneness, this represents one, right? Or you can see it as like in an Egyptian hieroglyphic. The sun is just a circle, right? The sun is the source, um, and it's represented by a circle because the circle is also supposed to represent one, the sun, and it's also none. This is why zero is a circle or uh, an oval, right? It's supposed to be a circle, but it was made into an ellipse, an ellipsoid shape, an oval, but it can also be a circle, right? Circle is nothing, but it's infinite because it loops infinitely, which is generation, which is a circuit. You know, a circuit is what generates energy. So the circle, the oneness, or the source, the sun, is a circuit that generates energy. And because it endlessly generates energy, this also is a type of nothingness because it's endless in its nature, right? So one and none. This is the connection that I'm trying to illustrate, right? So how is one also none? Because we have one whole. This is a whole, right? You can split a circle and you'll get two pieces of it, right? So if you have the whole of itself, then you have one whole, right? Whole numbers, 1, 2. You take two circles and you have two ones, right? 1 and 2 are the same thing because you're taking one, which is one whole. You have one pie, right? Pie, as in like a pie you eat. It's a circle, right? You have a whole pie. So you take another pie and you have two whole pies, or you have two ones, right? So 1 and 2 are the same, they equal each other. They don't have to be identical symbolically, but they're equal, right, to each other. Being equal and identical are two completely different things, right? So 1 and 2 equal each other because if you have two, you have two wholes, which is just two ones, which is also just nothing because zero is the circle. Zero is nothing, which is source. That's why it's depicted as a circle, which is also one whole. 0 and 1 equal each other, right? So when you come into oneness or unity consciousness, you can slowly dissolve into nothingness from a dualism, which is self and other. You come into pure self. All is just one. There is no other. You're just a reflection of me. And you can have an experience of this if you just allow it to come into your perception. When you were in your mom's womb, there was no other person. It was just you. There is no concept of other when you were in the womb, and you're still in the womb. You've never left the womb, because there's wombs inside wombs, which is the nature of the womb. Like a dream within a dream. That's the whole nature of reality, right? So when you were in the womb, there was no other person. There was just you. Your mom and you were one person. You're never separate from your mother. You were literally in her, and you were her. She was eating for both of you, or she was just eating for herself, because there's no other, so there's no both, so there's no two. And at that, there's no one either. There's nothing. Nothing exists. You don't exist, because you've been conceptualized. You were conceptualized out of the void, out of the womb, out of nothingness. There's no other person. There's only one. And it's all you. It's all self. You can say self and other. That's duality. But there is no duality, because there's just one energy, right? So you can recede into deeper states of awareness, and you are going to come back into that oneness. You were one with your mother. There was no other person, especially when you were in the womb being developed. You were nothing. You were closer to nothingness than you were somethingness. When creation was conceptualized in the void, it was a nothingness, or there was just nothingness, or there wasn't anything. You can't say anything about it because it doesn't exist. So 1 and 0 are the exact same. This is why we have binary code. So they can cancel each other out, or they can complement each other, black and whites. And that's where duality rises. That's where the two comes in. But there's only one, and one is 0. This is why it's depicted as a circle, which can easily be changed into an oval, an ellipsoid. They're both energetical forms. If you get into the metaphysics, you're going to find these symbols. When you start going into the ether, you find all the hieroglyphical symbols. They don't have to be Egyptian, but Egypt used the depictions of the esoteric or the metaphysical energetical forms to write with, because they were in that state of awareness. This is how they did things, right? So the circle, the oval, they're both energetical forms. You can find these all throughout nature. Take like a crystal. You can find various different oval crystals in nature, right? You can find circles in nature. You can find spirals as well. Spirals is another one, or the spiral is the circle, right? Mandalas. So the circle is nothingness, the 0. So when you come into a unity consciousness, you can also come to be aware of the void, which is nothingness. And with this, you're going to be able to experience a blissfulness, because everything that you were struggling with when it comes to existence ceases to exist. So everything just ceases to be, and that's why all that's left is nothingness. You know, nobody exists. You don't exist. That's the truth of it. You can have the experience as well. You can talk about it. You can think about it. You can philosophize about it. You can laugh about it. You can do things when it comes to the concept of it, but that's not it. You can maybe have the experience of it as well, but that may not even be it either. So you don't exist. You can see that. It's very simple because it's not something to be grasped because it doesn't exist, so you cannot grab at it. Right? Dissolve into nothingness. Die. That's what death is. Death is it's a stripping of all that you are until there's nothing left, right? But there was nothing to ever begin with either. That's eternal. Timelessness. You don't even have to understand anything either because there's nothing to understand. There's nothing to know. There's nothing to love. There's nothing to open yourself up to because you cannot close yourself either because there's nothing. You don't exist. Existence, non existence, inexistence. So I'm going to end it there. That's going to be it for today's video. I do thank everybody for watching. Once again, peace out, one love, and have a great evening.